Hey everybody, Ryan here with Ray's Latest, and today we're going to talk about Johnny DeLuca continued to impress with a three-run homer in yesterday's game, as well as the Tampa Bay Sports Authority has kind of posed a couple questions on how this whole stadium thing's going to work with the new land transition over from the state to that ground that they're going to be building the new stadium on. But first, let's talk about Johnny DeLuca. He went 1 for 3 yesterday with a three-run homer. Decent outfield play once again. He just continues to impress. And we saw Melton go 0 for yesterday with 2 strikeouts, and DeLuca hit a three-run homer. So it's one of those things where we see these guys that are kind of battling out for these starting outfield positions, and everybody has their own different specialties that they're really good at, obviously. And DeLuca just continuously bringing extra base hits to the table. And we've seen that plus outfield play from him. So I think that as of right now, I do believe DeLuca might be in the lead for that right field spot, in my opinion, with Fraley and Melton kind of combining in there as well. But I do think as of right now, I think it's DeLuca kind of taken a little bit of a lead there, just with what I've seen from him at the plate, defensively wise, with Fraley in second and Melton shortly behind. And obviously, Melton belted a homer the other day as well, but the strikeout numbers have kind of continued a little bit there with him, and the consistency at the plate is just not what DeLuca kind of brings to the table right now. And obviously, it's spring training. There's a lot of stuff that's going on. A lot of people are working on different things throughout the game and throughout spring training. So it's obviously it's not going to be a fully finished, polished product that you're going to see from them. But just from what I've seen so far with him, I do think that he's kind of leading that pack there. But you guys let me know what you guys think about who you think's leading that pack there, and what you guys think about DeLuca's game yesterday, because I was thoroughly impressed with that swing that I saw him put on that homer that he hit. So I thought he looked good yesterday. And we'll just obviously continue to see, they play every single day, kind of how these guys slowly form into shape heading into the regular season. But the next thing I want to talk about is the Tampa Sports Authority poses questions about what this new stadium deal is going to look like. The first thing is the property tax reform. DeSantis has been campaigning to get a measure in front of voters to reduce or eliminate homestead property taxes. Local governments, they said they're bracing for $1 million hits of potential millions of dollars. And this Tampa Sports Authority asked how could change that such change could affect their organization. The Tampa Sports Authority is funded by fees, concessions from facilities, and things like that. Said a cut the local government's budgets to reduce property tax revenue could pressure the Sports Authority to figure out how to balance those facility budgets a little bit. Said if there are significant cuts, it will definitely affect us, is what the CEO of the Sports Authority says. And the board members said that they're already bracing for staffing challenges due to building new facilities, more frequent and larger concert events and venues. He said he warned that with the raise that the stadium deals going on, the Sports Authority has a real serious issue with managing and staffing the stadium as well. So we need to be aware that staff is going to need more support. They're going to need more funding. And another thing they were talking about is budget shortfalls. He says it's still not clear how they're going to pay for the $2.3 billion stadium. And the Sports Authority praised that the Tampa Bay Times explored whether Hillsborough County and Tampa could even afford the new stadium and things of that nature. He said specific details have yet to emerge. The city and county could be on the hook for yearly debt payments of 58 to 70 million. And one of the funding sources could tap into his unplanned revenue increases from the Hillsborough 0.5% sales tax, and said how much money could be considered when the county also has 1.5 billion in transportation needs. Said Hart said that is a question for the Hillsborough County administrator and mayor. And he says, how can you have a surplus if you got 1.5 billion needs of roasts? So they're obviously looking at this as there's so many budget challenges that they're seeing from a logistics standpoint that it's kind of getting weird for them. And they're just trying to figure out how to do it. And obviously 58 to 70 million dollars in yearly debt is not an ideal situation to be in. obviously, and when you have that such need for roads and things like that down there, which they desperately do need, the roads in Tampa are kind of horrible. Um, it's it's going to be interesting to see how the Hillsborough County and DeSantis kind of handle that with the sales taxes and things of that nature, and if they implement any different types of state needs, that's going to be interesting as well. And the next thing they talk about is affordable housing. And it says it's a cornerstone of the New Deal to be built there. The project promised 1,250 income restricted units built on and off the site as well. He said, like that deal, affordable housing is a part of the Rays proposed development around the stadium. He said he shook his head and he said he didn't know. And he says the Rays are seeking to build a live workplace development such like the Battery in Atlanta. While multifamily buildings are part of the mixed-use development, the Rays seek to build around a stadium. A non-binding agreement between the Rays and Hillsborough College makes no mention of building affordable housing. So the proposed deal obviously didn't say anything about building kind of residential units or anything like that, but it looks like the Tampa Sports Authority kind of believed that that was going to be part of the case with that and getting affordable housing in the area. It might have been one of those things where originally, when they were talking about it months and months ago, they're like, "Yeah, we'll put residential units in there to get multifamily homes in and stuff like that." And then once they came out with the final renderings, they didn't have much to say on that. So I think that's also a big problem. If they came out and said they were going to do something, and when they finally released the plans that said something was not in there, that is an issue. So we'll kind of see how that kind of plays out as well. But that is something that's definitely needs to be kept an eye on, especially when it comes down to the funding measures of that with the state taxes and the county tax and sales tax and stuff like that. But the last thing I'll talk about is just kind of a brief intro of to what today's game is going to look like. We're going to see Steven Matz for the first time in a Rays uniform pitch today against Garrett Crochet. So it'll be intriguing to see kind of how he performs and see how he kind of comes out and in pitches, obviously, in his opening start. So I'm going to be kind of tuned into that to see how he does. Obviously, I'm curious to see how our hitters play against Crochet, and I don't think they've released the lineup yet, but I'm interested to see if we're going to see Caminero, Diaz, and Aranda, and them in the lineup to face at least one at bat off Crochet and kind of see how they do against him, and kind of just get their one maybe two at bats, 3 or 4 innings in the field, and then leave, like the big leaguers usually do in spring training. So I'll be keeping an eye on that. We do play the Red Sox today, so I'll be keeping an eye on how they handle Crochet, Matz's ability to pitch. Obviously, Griffin Jax yesterday did have a little bit of a shaky inning, allowing a walk, 2 hits, and a run. So we'll see how he kind of bounces back from that. But I don't think that's anything to be worried about. Relievers that they can go one bad outing and have 15 great ones. So that's not nothing I'm typically concerned about, but we'll kind of see how that goes from there. But you guys let me know what you guys think about everything I talked about with DeLuca in the outfield, as well as the city tax challenges and what the Tampa Sports Authority is saying as well. But you guys have a great one.